Oh, haha. Hi, Helen Moore. Nice to meet you. You as well.
Easter family, you know? But I'm not just saying.
Oh, you have the tall one too?
You want to play wheel? You want to go to this one? Is this one any better?
Let's see.
Did you just ask me if you
That
wanted
looks
to
to be
play
the same.
video?
It's like a preview. No source found. Oh, that looks promising.
Okay, I'm going to call the Planning Commission meeting for Monday, September 9th, 2024. It is 6 o'clock. And Monica, can you lead us in the flag salute? Please stand.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, will you call roll?
Yes, thank you, Commissioner Camerata.
Here.
Commissioner Dever.
Here.
Commissioner Graff is absent this evening. Commissioner Santos.
Here.
Commissioner Steinbach.
Here.
Vice Chair Mattingly is also absent this evening, and Chair Stevens.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move into oral communications. Persons wishing to address the Planning Commission on subjects other than those scheduled are requested to do so at this time. Please provide your name and address for the record. In order to conduct a timely meeting, a 3-minute time limit per person has been established. Government Code 54954.2 prohibits the Planning Commission from discussing or taking action on a specific item unless it appears on the posted agenda. Madam Clerk, do you have any written comments regarding items not on the agenda?
Yes, George Pivot is here.
Good evening, Commissioner, Chair Steffens, and members of the Planning Commission. George Kivett, longtime Lomita resident. I thought next year was going to be 40 years in my house. I took a look. Actually, I've been there over 40 years. This will be the 41st year, right before Thanksgiving. From my understanding, there's going to be a general plan review done by the Planning Commission. I believe it's later this month, and I just would like the Planning Commission members to be aware, and I'm sure you are already aware, that the City Council voted for option 4, which was the highest density that they might have chosen, which will allow over, from my understanding, 2,000 additional residential units to be constructed once fully implemented. I don't believe that was the wish of the people. I did not, I attended all the meetings, public meetings. I didn't hear anybody discussing that type of density. I was on the GPAC. We made no motions to bring forward to the council that we would like to see that type of density. I don't know where they came up with that. I believe it was just what they wanted. It's what the consultant obviously sold. I would like the Planning Commission to be very cognizant of when you're doing your review, do we have the infrastructure, especially sewer capacity and water capacity? Because I've heard, talking with other developers on recent projects, that there have been questions, is there the sewer capacity to support some recent construction? And they were asked to do additional tests. I don't know ultimately if it would happen or not, where they were asked to check the sewer capacity for a recent project that's now underway. Do we have the infrastructure for that? And I'd like you to be just aware, top of mind. Also, this week is 9/11. It's not really pertinent to the Planning Commission, but it's a very important date in my family. My dad was actually scheduled to be on the plane coming out of Boston. He was a scientist for one of the aerospace companies, and he was on a weekly flight back to the East Coast, but he wasn't able to make it. The scheduling conflict at the last minute, he had one of his engineers go back, and that individual perished on that plane coming out of Boston. And in the past, I heard a lot about, we'll never forget. We used to have a 9/11 memorial here, it was just a tragic event. But in my family, that's the second 9/11. 9/11, 1777, Battle of Brandywine. First time the American flag was carried in battle. That was largely fought on my ancestors' property. Colonel Israel Gilpin, and almost 1,000 people perished on the family farm. So it's a date that's real important to me and my family, but just please never forget, it's a very important date.
Thank you, George. I'm sure we'll all take a look at the whole thing very carefully. There's a lot in it. Madam Clerk, do we have any other speakers?
I'll speak for a bit. Thank you, Linda. Good evening, Chair Stevens, members of the Planning Commission. Thank you. I just want to say a few remarks in a 3-minute time period. It's odd standing in the 3-minute rule on this side. Okay. On the microphone. Check. Okay. So the last time I was here is I think it was my second week on the job. City manager, I just want to thank you all. It's been a great, fantastic experience so far. I mentioned how what a lovely community this has been, and it's just been validated over and over and over again these first 4 months that I'm here. So kind of in that spirit, I'm here to also bring some additional good news. I wanted to formally announce, as I have been recruiting and taking a look at the organization, there has been two of my executive team members I've had to recruit for, one of which being, as you know, our community development director. I appointed Adrian as interim a little over 45 days ago. And my observations of him and his candor and his experience has just been nothing but exemplary. I hope you have the same experience with him. And I'm here to announce that I have appointed Adrian as our permanent community development director, effective Monday. So I not only say that I hope you've had a great experience with him too, but just speaking a little bit to his qualifications and experience. If he's a humble individual, and so he may not have done it himself, but he does have nearly 20 years of experience. He's done both the private and the public sector. He came from us from the city of Malibu, and we couldn't have been luckier. We got a very intelligent, experienced, seasoned assistant director from Malibu who wanted to take this role so badly that he was willing to do as an interim, and I believe he's proven himself and he's become an excellent part of our team. So Adrian, welcome, and I wouldn't ordinarily do this with any other department heads, but the Planning Commission serves a special role in the city's functions, and this is a very important role for Adrian, but also for the city, so it's very important that I come and tell you personally. So I just want to do that, and with all due respect, Commission, thank you so much for your support, and I wish Adrian the best of luck, and he'll have all the support that he needs from my office to you. So thank you.
Thank you for that, and welcome permanently, Adrian. Okay, thank you. Madam Clerk, is there anyone else on an off-agenda item?
No, that's all.
Okay, thank you. I will move on to the consent agenda. Can I get a motion?
I will make a motion that we approve the August 12, 2024 Planning Commission meeting minutes.
I'd second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in those, I have to take an individual poll, right? Because they're not here. Okay. Commissioner Steinbach?
Yes.
Steve Cameron?
Aye.
What?
No, just do the roll. Just
We don't
all
have
in
to do
favor,
that?
aye.
No, that's just more if somebody's on Zoom, but we don't normally have a commissioner on Zoom.
I'm good with that. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, we'll move on to public hearings. Discussion and consideration of site plan review number 1219 and modification number 1 to allow setback modifications on a second-story addition to an existing single-family residence located at 1748 246th Street in the single-family residential R1 zone. Applicant is Heather Dean, residing at 1748 246th Street, Lomita, California, and I believe Laura is going to do a presentation.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, Commissioners and members of the public. Tonight, we're here to consider front and side yard setback modifications. The municipal code requires a second-story side yard setback to be 5 feet. In this case, there was a alteration to the plans, and that's why it's coming back to you. The property, as you can see from this picture, has utility poles, and there's an easement along its westerly property line, which contain high-voltage power lines. The zoning designation is R1, and the general plan designation is low density, and the project is consistent. As you can see, the property is right to the south of that parkway tree, and back in 1985, the existing attached garage was built into the front yard setback. I can only assume this was done because without the benefit of a survey, they presume that the property to the west building plane was what they were looking to match. So that's an existing nonconformity. Here we can see on the survey the location of the house and how close it is to the property line is 3.87 feet at the shallowest point. So this is a picture taken maybe a week ago, and the second story was built along the same vertical plane as the first floor. If we, as a staff, spoke and received written comments, they are attached to the packet from the fire department and SCE, and both have accepted the proposed 3-foot 9-inch and change setback, or 10-inch setback. There are conditions of approval. There should not be a second-story eave, but the first floor can have eaves, and the plans must be resubmitted to Building and Safety for structural approval. The maximum height of the addition will be 21 feet, 1 inch. This is 26 feet, approximately lower than our maximum height in the zoning code. You know, this floor plan, it's very reasonable. They're adding 800 square feet of space. The house itself is going to be 4 bedrooms and approximately 2,200 square feet overall. So there are 5 findings that need to be made, 3 for the site plan and 2 for the modification. 2 of those findings are kind of like check the box findings. One is that the modification was reviewed in conjunction with a site plan review, which it is. But the material findings here are that the site is suitable for the development as it's intended. It's going to avoid traffic congestion. There's no adverse effect on public health, safety, general welfare, and will not adversely affect neighboring properties, and it is consistent with the general plan. You know, the existing dwelling's horizontal plane, meaning it will not project any further past the first floor building's footprint, so that'll be suitable for the site. And this height of this building, again, is lower than the code requirement. And so this affects the massing. It's a little less massive than what it could potentially be. And so, you know, there may be a widening this on the width, but a shrinking on the height. And that'll also ensure that there should be no effect on sunlight to the neighboring property. So we've talked about the development design is suitable and functional. This is a 4-bedroom home that is a reasonable size, meeting FAR, meeting the other development standards. And then here we are to the final finding of the modification, which is there are conditions that make it obviously impractical or unreasonable or a hardship to require the setback to be in compliance. Following the vertical plane of the first floor building makes it practical from both the foundation and the structural support. Otherwise, they'll have to have projections into the first floor and do rather more aggressive modifications to the foundation. With SCE and the fire department not having any objections to the proposed setback, it would be really unnecessary to force them to push that in just a foot and a few inches. So in conclusion, the project can be found to be exempt from CEQA. It's less than 1,000 square feet, and the area is furnished with public utilities, and that's noted in the general plan. This area has no environmentally sensitive species, and so we can find it exempt from CEQA. So staff's recommendation is that the Planning Commission approves site plan review number 1219 and modification number 1, subject to conditions, and to confirm the categorical exemption. And I can answer any questions.
Thank you, Laura. Do any of the commissioners have questions for staff at this point? Okay, so with that, if the applicant is here, would they like to speak on this before we?
Good evening, everybody. I'm Brandon Bradley. I'm one of the owners of the property we're talking about today. And I just want to say thank you for having this meeting, and a thank you for everybody who worked on the project. I truly appreciate it. All I wanted to add is not regarding the side setback, but the front to back setback. There was my mother-in-law who we bought the property from. When she was in the process of adding on that front garage, she actually had a hearing similar to this, and the committee gave her the approval for the garage be built as it is now. So if that affects your decision at all. Well, I just wanted to point that out in case you didn't already know. All right, so thank you so much for letting me speak.
Thank you. Okay, so with that, I'll now open it up to public hearing. Madam Clerk, did you receive any written communications on this item?
No, I did not.
Okay, I will now close the public hearing and bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Camarado, do you have anything, any questions? Commissioner Santos, do you have anything? Nothing? Commissioner Denver? Commissioner Steinbach? No, thank you. I just have one question, and I'll make it really short and sweet. The garage, the existing garage, I see that you purchased the home, it was purchased in 1994. Was the two-car garage part of that at that time, or when was that added?
No, that was built with permits and finalized in 1985.
Okay. And then the other thing is, I assume this work is being done with a contractor, seeing there's architectural plans?
The permit was pulled owner-builder, so you can do that as in a single-family dwelling.
Okay, no, I was just wondering if it was a builder or developer that had worked in the city before that should have been aware of what the setbacks are and how the city works. Could have all been handled with a simple phone call. And that's my comments for this. So if none of the other commissioners have any questions, we'll close that. And can I get a motion and a second to approve the recommendation?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you.
I move we approve the resolution and the modification number 1 to allow the front yard setback and reduction.
I'll second that.
Thank you. And all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. You can finish your house now. So moving on to scheduled matters, communication regarding city council actions.
Hi, good evening, Chair Stevens and members of the Planning Commission. So at the last meeting, I did not come prepared to answer this question. Thankfully, I did spend some time doing some research this time around. As you may know, the July Planning Commission meeting was canceled. So some of my updates go back to some of the June meetings that the City Council had. So back in June, in a second reading, the City Council adopted an ordinance regarding indoor recreational uses. Also, after that June meeting, the City Council adopted or they executed an agreement with Southern California Edison to replace the street lights with LED lights, which is going to bring not only better lighting, but a huge cost savings for the city. At the very last City Council meeting, there were a couple of items that were presented about capital improvement projects. The Public Works Department is extremely busy. They have quite a few list of projects that they're doing, but one of the projects that was heard on its own is Zone G, which is a road improvement, and also there's some water line improvements along Walnut Street north of 253rd Street and south of 240th Street. And they're doing those improvements in 4 phases, and the reason they're doing that is to make sure that those improvements are coordinated with all the water line improvements that they're going to be doing on some of those streets. And that concludes the update.
Thank you for that. And did you say that Edison is going to be replacing the streetlights? Do you know that I've been fighting with them for 3 months now to get my streetlight at the end of a dark cul-de-sac to work? They drive in the daytime and they look at it, and then they drive out. And then when I get up at 4 in the morning, it's dark out there. Just say it. Yeah. Has no relevance.
Well, we will definitely look into that. And the idea is to replace the light fixtures. It's not just the light bulb. And so they may be planning on replacing light fixtures soon, and they have forgone, replacing just the light bulb.
It, yeah. It's okay. I have a flashlight I wear on my head.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I'm going to pile on, and maybe it can go through the proper channels. We used to have an Edison liaison for the city here, and I know they're going to say, well, we're going to fix all these and we're going to get all new. It was last October on Halloween, which normally you would think street lights out would be good. There were 7 within a block of my house that were out, and I went on Edison's website, put them all in with their addresses, the poll numbers, did everything I was supposed to do. They're still out. And that was a year ago. And I'm just wondering if we still have a liaison with Edison. I mean, it used to be really easy. We made a phone call. If we didn't get satisfaction, they took care of it. At least they could take that down off their website or put a note on there. We're planning on changing them anyway. I mean, it's pretty frustrating.
It is frustrating.
Yeah, there's always a SCE liaison that is assigned to various jurisdictions. So I'm sure there's one, and so we need to get a hold of this person and make sure that maybe we can invite him to either a planning commission or city council meeting to maybe answer some of these questions.
Or a little note in the newsletter saying, hey, watch out, everybody, we're going to get new street lights, and sorry it's been whatever. Just something to build the consumer confidence, because it's pretty sad.
Yeah. I know that the 9 of us on that cul-de-sac have all went on their website and reported it and called them. And like I said, they came out and they looked up at the light and it's not working because it's daytime. I was like, anyway.
But we still pay our bills, right?
Yeah.
Actually, about maybe a little less than a month ago, somebody from Public Works came into my office and said, hey, do you know why there's fixture, a light fixture completely missing off the pole at 262nd and Western? I said, no. I said, possibly when there was a car accident and took the hydrant and the pole out, they made it put a new pole in and didn't put the fixture back on. I said, no, why? He says, well, I want to let you know that we're going to be upgrading and replacing all the existing light fixtures with LED fixtures. I said, great, perfect. When is it happening? He said, probably October. So that's the last that I heard, and it was from Public Works. I'm not sure, I can't remember the gentleman's name, but he came in the office and said that. So, but to tag on to the call in for the lights that are out, I have had good success at calling their customer service number, reporting the light outage, and usually within a week, they've had a truck out there and they replaced a light. That's just my experience. But to add to Bob, there are some intersections that are pretty dark, and I'm pretty sure they're going to either convert those or they need to. But one of them is Lomita and Eshelman, and that can get pretty dark right there at night. And the other intersection that is usually pretty well lit, but there's a few lights out, is Narbonne and Lomita, right here by City Hall. And that, at one point, was almost like one light out of like 8 of them that were in that intersection that we're on. So just, if you talk to Edison, maybe you can ask them to check those. Those are key intersections, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely.
But other than that, I mean, Edison's usually pretty good about getting out and changing light bulbs. So,
Maybe I'll bake them some cookies. Okay, thank you for that. Back on track here. Do you have anything on the upcoming businesses or any developments that we need to be aware of?
Yes, so the next Planning Commission meeting is going to be a special meeting, and we're going to have a discussion about the general plan update, and then the EIR that comes along with the general plan update, as well as phase 1 of the zoning code update. So we're looking forward to that meeting. That meeting will give us just enough time to then schedule the October 1st meeting for a first reading of the code update with the city council meeting, and then the second reading on October 15th. So, so we're looking forward to that. I'm also looking forward to all the code updates that will follow the general plan, and so we will be extremely busy the next couple of years.
Thank you. Other matters, staff announcements? I think that was anything in addition to that? No? Planning Commissioner items. Commissioner Camarada, anything?
tonight.
Ooh. Commissioner Santos.
Yes, I have a question for you guys. Since they're doing the improvements with the water lines throughout the city, is there a follow-up as far as paving of Walnut Street from Terrell north, backside of the park, going north? Walnut Street.
Walnut Street, yeah, so that north of 253rd Street, or is that where
No,
we're
come
talking
back
about?
this way.
Excuse me?
It's right behind the
back to
park,
the
right
north.
behind Lomita Park.
It would be north of 253rd to,
Yeah.
north of Lomita.
They repaved 247
Lomita.
to Terrell on Walnut Street
Yeah, so,
probably about 12 years ago. And I guess I've been waiting for the continuation of Walnut Street.
that's right. So, yeah, so that is part of what they call the Zone G. And so Zone G is going to be updated in the next few months, but it's going to be updated in multiple phases to accommodate some of the water line improvements. So the plan is it's Walnut Street as well as some of the adjacent collector streets will be all updated at the same time, or excuse me, they will all be updated as part of Zone G, but in different phases or different times.
But does the update include the repaving?
The update includes the improvements of the road as well as paving the road, but they don't want to pave the road until the water
Right,
lines are installed so that, you pave it just one time.
All right, so there's hope. Thank you.
Vice Mayor Danvers.
Yes, they're doing a survey around the schools as far as dropping off and picking up students and seeing how the traffic flow is going. And so I live right by the school, so you don't leave your house at certain times of day because you cannot get through. But I noticed that whenever, I guess, the people come out to watch the parents pick up or drop off, parking enforcement is there. Well, that's like a red flag. People are not going to do what they normally do if they see a parking enforcement vehicle with its light flashing. So, in fact, that's about the third time I've seen parking enforcement there in 28 years. So it would be good if they did the survey without that going on. Also, at the intersection of Eshelman and PCH going north, across PCH, there is that, right by the intersection where you go on to Eshelman crossing PCH is uneven road. So when you go like this in your car every time you go through it. So I was just wondering if something could be done about that. And that's all.
Thank you. Commissioner Scott.
And it definitely needs to be cut out and squared off and then sealed correctly. And that's all I'll say at this time.
Commissioner Steinbach, do you have anything to add? No? No. Okay, well, that leaves me. I do have an issue. Has nothing to do with Water Street or lights, okay? The dollar store opened up way ahead of, we didn't even know it. We were just walking by and all of a sudden they said, come in, it's open. So we took a moment to go in and look around, and I can't tell you enough how appalled I was that it looked like they closed the doors on the 99-cent store, as dirty and as filthy as it was, and then reopened it for business. The floors are still disgusting. The sidewalk is just terrible. I mean, you stick to it. I mean, they didn't even power wash it or anything. So I wish them well in their business, but it smells funny, and it needs to be cleaned. And I don't know, I mean, I get that it's a huge chain, and they probably didn't come out and say, oh, we have a new store. But I would have thought that they would have cleaned it before they opened it to the public. That's just my personal opinion. And that, I wanted to thank staff for all the hard work that you guys do. Sincerely, I'm not laughing. You guys do a great job, and it's endless, and we do appreciate it. And I know there's a lot of stuff coming down the pike. So, yeah. So if there's nothing further, I will adjourn the meeting. Motion to adjourn. Oh, that too. Okay, all those in favor? Aye, you don't do that. Meeting is adjourned.